Why are you tired all the time? Most people think it's just bad sleep or getting older, but in both modern science and Chinese medicine, fatigue comes down to 3 hidden systems that almost no one is talking about: your digestion, your stress hormones, and your nervous system. When one of these goes out of balance, you feel drained. When all 3 are stressed, that's when you hit full-blown burnout. Now in this video, you'll learn the 3 hidden causes of constant fatigue. Hey guys, I'm Dr. Alex Heyne, board licensed doctor of acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, and author of the health book, Master the Day. Let's jump in. You know, what's fascinating is that fatigue isn't just a modern problem. People 2,000 years ago were complaining of the same thing: constant exhaustion, lack of motivation, and weakness and being exhausted after a long stressor. In the Huangdi Neijing, the Yellow Emperor's inner classic, the Yellow Emperor asked, why do people of today grow old and exhausted so quickly, unlike those in ancient times? And the physician Qi Bo answered, because they squander their essence, they drink and eat without measure, and exhaust themselves with worry and labor. That's one of the first written descriptions of burnout. Thousands of years before we called it adrenal fatigue, Chinese doctors were already connecting exhaustion to lifestyle, digestion, and stress. Later, in the Jingui Yaolu, written around the year 200 AD by a doctor called Zhang Zhongjing, there's even a whole chapter on taxation fatigue, which basically means exhaustion from overwork, poor diet, and long illness. He described patients who had weak digestion, no appetite, constant fatigue, and cold limbs, which sounds a lot like what we would call low cortisol or chronic fatigue now. So when I talk about spleen, kidneys, and heart being the 3 major roots of fatigue, it's not just my opinion. This is a pattern that physicians have been observing and treating for centuries. The difference is, now we can explain it with both ancient language and modern science. Now let's talk about the first root, the spleen, or digestion. You know, I'm often surprised because I live in Los Angeles, my clinic is in Los Angeles. Patients do a lot of detoxes and food trends here, right? It's like the epicenter of the health food movement. And one thing I'm often surprised to hear is when my patients go on these little detoxes, just food detoxes or fasts, one of the first things they tell me is that I have so much energy and I sleep so much better. It isn't immediately obvious how changing what you eat produces more energy or helps you sleep better, right? Just at face value, how would choosing a salad versus like a steak change your energy dramatically or even your sleep? I know if you know a little bit of science, you could say blood sugar, digestion, right? Maybe it affects your sleep, trying to digest certain foods. It's amazing to see how much just changing what you eat or fixing your digestive system first improves your energy. Now, going back thousands of years, a famous doctor named Li Dongyuan said that the root of myriad illnesses is basically stomach and pancreas function. The root of your energy, besides your genetics, comes from digestion. Always start with digestion first. And a little just home thing you could do with digestion is just before eating, have a little bit of ginger tea, like a strong ginger tea. Slice up like 10 to 15 grams into hot water for maybe 20 minutes. Even just that will wake up your digestion. And my patients are often shocked by how much lighter they feel after meals just by doing that. Now, if burnout and chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue are problems for you, I actually have a free live online event coming up in a few weeks here called The Lost Chinese Practices, quietly helping people conquer burnout and chronic fatigue. There's a free link below to register, and in it, I'll show you how to reset your stress hormones naturally, using both modern science and ancient Chinese medicine. So make sure you click the link below to save your spot. I would love to see you there live. Now, the second root of burnout or fatigue is your kidneys in Chinese medicine, or stress hormones. So it's your stress system overall. And in modern biomedicine, that's basically your adrenal glands pumping out cortisol. In Chinese medicine, we call it your kidneys, your battery charge or battery pack. You can think of it like this way. Every morning you should wake up with a full charge. Your cortisol's high and you're ready to go. And at night, your cortisol should fall and you power down. But when stress is constant, that rhythm gets flipped, scrambled. You end up dragging all day and then wired at night, like your battery's running backwards. From a traditional Chinese medicine point of view, a lot of what we call kidney function, kidney yin deficiency, kidney yang deficiency, relate to a lot of like HPA axis dysregulation issues. Anything that relates to adrenal health, to a fast heart rate, irregular heart rhythms like palpitations or atrial fibrillation, AFib, these often relate to kidney function from our point of view. And the kidneys, you can think sort of like the surrender organ, as my mentor, Dr. Heiner Fruhoff, calls it. Healthy adrenal health is about your body's ability to go into storage and have a regulated nervous system. It's about mirroring that winter quality of hibernation, less pushing, less doing, less effort into life. If you can do that, you'll preserve your stress pathways in terms of how much cortisol your body's secreting all the time, and you'll help to have adrenal health. Now, one simple thing you can do that's sort of like a kitschy folk remedy from China is a foot soak. So you can soak your feet in a basin at the end of the night with a couple slices of ginger in there before bed. It sounds weird, but in traditional Chinese medicine, your kidney channel runs up the sole of your feet, and by warming and grounding your feet, you're literally telling your nervous system, hey, body, it's safe, time to power down. So this is a folk remedy used in China a lot. Just the very act of putting your feet into a hot foot soak for 30 minutes while watching a show, and some patients will tell me they sleep better immediately doing that. Now, the third root of chronic fatigue is the heart or nervous system. And people are sometimes surprised when I say nervous system, because in modern science, we call it sympathetic versus parasympathetic, fight or flight versus rest and digest or rest and restore. In Chinese medicine, this relates to the heart because the heart houses the shen, your mind and your spirit. When it comes to the heart and the nervous system, when I think of what is quintessential heart and nervous system dysregulation, it's 3 symptoms. A fast heart rate, despite not working or not being at work. Strong heartbeats that feel like your heart is pumping harder, even if the heart rhythm with your smartwatch is regular, and as well as chest pain and chest tightness. These are all what we call heart qi or heart yang deficiency. And basically, the heart is the mirror of the nervous system. Because if you think about it, when you get spooked by someone jumping out, where do you feel that symptom? Most often, people clutch their chest, or they get tight chest, or in their stomach. So the heart and the digestive system are 2 of the most sensitive organs to stress and to the nervous system being dysregulated. A simple practice you can do at night, one is massaging this point called yin tang between the eyes. You can do this for 3 minutes, 5 minutes before bed when you're laying down. A lot of these somatic practices help to shut off the brain, and even just the sensation of stimulating the area will calm anxiety. And if you want to go a step further, sip on some dazao, red date tea before bed. We say red dates nourish your heart yin, and they anchor the shen. Scientifically, these are often high in electrolytes, and they're very, very good for calming the nervous system. The truth is that if your mind never rests, your body never rests either. Now, the problem is that doctors often miss this and misdiagnosis. Most doctors are trained to reduce fatigue down to a single lab marker: thyroid, iron, vitamin D, and if those are fine, you're told you're fine. But your energy isn't a single lab number often. It's a whole ecosystem. It's a web of interactions. And if your digestion, stress hormones, and nervous system are out of sync, you will never feel well. Chinese medicine has been saying this for centuries, and that's why it's so effective for people who are normal on paper, but exhausted in real life. Now, if your labs look normal, but you definitely don't feel normal, make sure you join me for this free live online event, The Lost Chinese Practices Quietly Helping People Conquer Burnout and Chronic Fatigue. There's a free link right below this video to register. It's going to be live in one time with me. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my healing journey of getting extremely sick with burnout, what people think of as adrenal fatigue, because doing my doctorate and working 20 hours per week, eventually my body collapsed. I developed heart palpitations and an arrhythmia that lasted 5 years. Could only sleep 3 hours per night, and then eventually developed clinical anxiety and clinical depression, and then chronic fatigue syndrome at the end of it. My healing journey took 5 years, but with the 5 or 6 practices we're going to share in this workshop from Chinese medicine, it could have been 6 months or a year instead of 5 years. So come join me for this live one-time workshop. I would love to see you there. The link's below the video here. If fatigue in particular is an issue for you, I shot a great related video, the root cause of chronic fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome, and how we treat it with traditional Chinese medicine right here.